Civil discourse, no cooperation, misinformation, mistruth. This very telling quote is from former Facebook Vice President of Use and highlights some issues we have today with our social networking. Social networking has come a long way, from words on a blog to developing a page identity to the sharing of full videos. The convergence of technology has transformed networking into the most influential item of modern times. But how do we use this influence? Are we thinking before we type? Are we communicating with civil intent? As social networking continues to gain influential power, the types of interactions we have on these platforms become increasingly more important. Not only do we need to be civil for people's sakes, but as more people become connected, the consequences spread to other aspects of our life. Today, I'll be stressing the importance of being civil in your interactions on social networking sites through providing the human need for civility, the job need for civility, and then providing with a personal experience that changed my perspective on the subject. One of the most important reasons to be civil when interacting online is for the sake of other people. The importance of civility, although it's ignored sometimes, is even more important online because of the amount of people social media reaches. In 1997, the major networking site had 1 million users, with the reach potential being very low. And today, with 2 billion users, the top networking site has the potential to reach many more. Cyberbullying is a major issue that has become increasingly brought into the public eye. Our textbook describes a couple of things associated with why cyberbullying is so effective. One that really stood out was the example of a bully on a playground versus a cyberbully. The bully on the playground, you have the chance to go home, get away from it, do other things. You only see that person for a certain amount of time. A cyberbully you can possibly get berated 24/7. It's just not good mentally. That type of psychological abuse is not something humans are capable of withstanding, honestly, especially a middle schooler who, according to some studies, are the most vulnerable to these types of mental abuse. The term mental abuse might sound particularly intense for this cyberbullying scenario. However, it is common enough to have even coined a new phrase, cyberbullicide, which literally means people who have committed suicide because of cyberbullying. And in a study of 2,000 middle schoolers described in the American Journey of Public Health, victims of cyberbullying were twice as likely to have suicidal thoughts. I think it's safe to say the misuse of our words on these types of platforms can have some dire consequences. And these consequences aren't always with people, though. Jobs can also be affected. Jobs can't have bad publicity, especially in the social climate of today's news and the viral way things can spread over the internet. This can have implications not only for individuals, but also for companies. Because of this, companies are paying even more attention to social networking sites and the persona of themselves as well as their employees. If you just search losing job because of post on Google, there are hundreds of examples. One that I stumbled upon, the man had recently visited a town and hadn't enjoyed his stay. That town had a wildfire that burned a lot of the town to the ground. He made a very insensitive comment on Facebook. I think I remember good riddance being injected somewhere. His boss saw it, and he was terminated for obvious reasons. A lot of people disagreed with this decision, but in my opinion, the owner of the machine shop, he just didn't want that type of person interacting with his customers or working around him. A person with that kind of insensitivity who's willing to be that uncivil on social networking can't be trusted. Career Builder, which is a popular job career website, did a survey, and an astonishing 70% of employers looked at candidates' social media websites before hiring. 70% is a very high number. It's coming to a point where the content of your page is literally determining your pay grade. The third part of this is my story. I was the type to never really worry about what I said. I like to argue, protest my beliefs. I thought I was expressing myself intelligently. It kind of took someone else doing something on Facebook that made me realize why being civil is so important. My friend Garrett and I were on our way to a job site, and he made a comment on a post. It was kind of a feminist post, but the thing that he said was very harsh, and she responded very harshly, and they went back and forth. Well, within the hour, I got a phone call from a girl I had been seeing named Rebecca, and that girl that Garrett had berated on Facebook was her sister. Rebecca and me went back and forth, and she decided that she didn't want to be associated with someone whose best friend would say things like that. Well, I thought that was ridiculous, but over the next few weeks, I really thought about it. And I thought about what Garrett had said, and I knew the guy. That was out of character. I started thinking back on my own online interactions, and had I ever acted out of character? Had I said things that I regretted more online than in person? Yes, I had. Why? What I came to find is that it was much easier to be cruel or hateful or derogatory online. You didn't have to see the hurt in other people's eyes or the slumping of defeat in their shoulders when you make them feel insecure. There's just not a lot of humanity to it, and I think it's our job to change that. Today I follow what I believe to be my golden rule of social media, which is don't put anything online you wouldn't say in person. Whether it be in regards to other people's feelings or maybe the difference maker in you getting or keeping that job, being civil over the internet, something that every person should be mindful of. As I leave you today, I'd like for you to ask yourself one thing. Have you ever said something hurtful and felt good about it later? Me either.